me tell you what it really feels like. Do you think that it would change a thing? Do you think...
Go.
Hey there, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Smashing Crossbar Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Josh, joined by Benno. How are you, mate?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. How's the week been?
Been busy, mate. Very, very busy. 16-hour days one day, friggin' 10, 12-hour days the next. It's been a hard slog over the last couple of days. But
Know the feeling. We've got the factory next door now.
very good, very good. So now we soldier on and so forth. We're also joined by Robbie. Robbie seems to be a bit of a regular these days. We are going to try and convert him into a permanent member very, very soon. Get him up to speed with a what do you call it, a green screen and all the jazz. And who knows? We go that far, we might even get him into a gold shirt. Huh?
You're funny. No,
I don't know if Adelaide's ever had a gold kit.
No, we just have FFA Cups and Premierships.
Oh, fucking nobody cares about those Mickey Mouse cups, mate.
You would if you won one.
Mate, we don't even give a shit. We get into our first game and we're just like, oh yeah, we'll wait for the game next year.
Right, apparently a little low, Benny.
I've already turned you up.
Very good.
How about you make? How about you turn your microphone up on your end?
Yeah, mate.
Because if I turn it up too much louder, Robbie's going to be blasting down everybody's eardrums.
Let's do it, bitch.
Yeah, very good. There we go. That might actually help, actually.
What?
I want to turn my volume up a little bit. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, anyway, before we get started, big shout out to Gabriel Mar, optometrist at Jesmond. Be sure to go see those guys for all your eye care needs if you're in the Newcastle, Northern New South Wales area. We do thank Gabe and the guys down there for all their support over the last few years. So big shout out to those guys. Next one, of course, we can't go any further without thanking the wonderful women in our lives. International Women's Day today. Big shout out to obviously my wife, my mum, and all the women that are in my life, and I'm sure the guys as well would definitely say thanks to all the women in their lives for making their life easy and
Careful.
Hey,
Careful.
easy, easy for some, easy not so.
I was about to say easy wouldn't be the word I use, but
be a love.
just for being there.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, big shout out to everyone, all the mums and all the women out there today. I hope you guys enjoyed your day. Before we go any further as well, another little bit of a statement. Big shout out to Luke Remington of New Lambton. Just a quick one. If no one's up and around the Northern New South Wales football, Lukey boy suffered a horrific injury against Maitland on Friday night. The game got abandoned.
Yeah, seen that.
Pretty full on. Took an hour and a half to get an ambulance to pick the bloke up. Shit show. Again, not going to go into that. But yeah, at the end of the day, the guys, obviously all us here at Crossbar Capers, and I'm sure all the viewers in here as well, wish you a speedy recovery, mate. You're an absolute superstar. Last year's, Player of the Year and all that jazz. There is a GoFundMe. If you go to New Lambton's Facebook page, there's a little what do you call it? The bloody freaking oh shit! What do they call them? The bloody the fucking the little shit that you can click on or whatever it is. The fucking
I'll do you one better.
Yeah, whack it up there, mate. Friggin' the QR code. Fuck me. The QR code. There's a QR code there.
Last recent donation.
Yep.
$50 from Becca Mikkeltadze.
That's
good.
good.
So at the end of the day, there, New Lambton's pretty much put up a statement going, Luke suffered a horrific broken ankle and faces a long road to recovery. Not only will Luke have no income while he recovers and goes through his surgeries, his medical bills will be a massive mountain for Remo to climb. Please donate.
Well, fuck, here we go. You got Becca Mikkeltadze, Rory Jordan's thrown some in, Carl Jenkinson, Brandon O'Neill.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Matty Stoneman.
Yeah. So it's good to see the
Job.
Yeah, Job Willis. Yeah. At the end of the day,
Thompson.
it's it's good to see the guys getting around, the local footballers and so forth, which is great to see. In saying that, though, they've got full cover insurance with that, so it will help.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not saying that it's going to, obviously, that insurance is going to cover him for everything. It's not going to cover his wages, obviously.
Yeah, it's not going to cover his income, yeah.
Exactly right. But he should be okay, obviously, getting all the medical treatment that he needs through that. But
It's currently sitting at $10,776. So they've hit their goal, which was 10 grand.
There you go. Not even in a week. So big shout out to the Newcastle Novocastrian family for jumping around him and so forth. Because at the end of the day, he's an absolute talent, and he'll definitely be missed.
Ex-Jets youth player.
Exactly right. So tonight's episode, guys, we will be touching on the NPL, as we've sort of just mentioned there. We'll get around to a few of the NPL clubs, just quickly cruising through, nothing major. Just sort of, we've sort of taken on a bit of a role tonight of just, a few NPL states ourselves. And, we'll just do a quick sort of recap of, a game that may have been worth sort of having a look at, a demolishing or X amount of red cards or whatever it is, and then a quick glance at the tables, just to see where everyone's at and so forth. We'll touch on the A-League itself. Another loss for the Jets in Wellington, which was a bit dismal, but nothing unusual at the moment. It's sort of becoming a bit of a
par
trend.
for the course.
A bit of a trend at the moment. Fingers crossed we can just start winning some games, because we should be in finals contention this year. There is no reason for us not to be. I think we're a lot better than the clubs below us at the moment, maybe except for Perth. Perth, I think, are having a good run at the moment. So other than those guys, I think we should definitely sort of be up around the final series at the end of the year. And other than that, we'll talk about any other football news that you guys may have had. So if you have heard anything around the world or whatever, the Aussies are going well in the under-20s. 9-1, I believe it was the other day. Friggin' absolute demolishing of that. So
Not before we gifted them one.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's it. We were 1-0 down, I believe. So, good result.
We gifted them one, then they scored an own goal, and it was all fucking uphill from there.
There you go. It is what it is. What was I going to say? So, as I said, we'll touch on the NPL and we'll touch on the A-League and everything is in between. Welcome to everyone in the chat. What have we got in here quickly before we move on? You only use the QR codes for a couple of years, Josh. Laugh out loud. Yeah. Mate, my phone does the work. Calm down. Some dude today was complaining about setting up the GoFundMe page and why wouldn't Rego Insurance pay for it? Doesn't pay for his wages. Well, no. The club, I feel, would still be paying his wages, because at the end of the day, he's had a horrific injury at the club. Under their watch, so I'd say he'll get paid that, and he'll get his medical bills and all that paid out through his insurance. But as we mentioned, he won't get a wage. He won't be able to work. I don't know what he does for a quid, but if it pretty much resolves him standing on his leg, he's pretty much fucked. So he'll be pretty much out of action, and at the end of the day, unless he's got some long service leave and some freaking all this sort of jazz, which being a semi-professional footballer, pretty sure you're not going to have too much long service leave lying around and shit like that. So at the end of the day, go give as little as you can. You know what I mean? $10 is better than nothing, and so forth. It'll all count. And as Benny said before, they've already reached the 10,000 goal that they achieved, that they set out to achieve, and it's great to see. Anyway, before we get into it, mate, we may as well talk Adelaide United. This new freaking youngster. Friggin' demolishing demolishing Adelaide at the moment. Some are even saying bigger than Craig Goodwin.
Hang on.
Getting the hype. No. I've witnessed it. I've seen it. Mate, when he gets up to go warm up, mate, the hype train.
And that's all it is, hot air.
You're there every week, mate. What's it like? What's the Adelaide fans feel on this kid?
So Irakunda is, I think he's starting to turn in regards to the way his mentality is. For a long time, they're very irrational as a footballer. So you'd have a situation where he'd go out and absolutely smash it one week, and then next week get red carded for something completely silly in the NPL, where he plays for the Adelaide United youth team. From what I've been made aware from sources close, he's actually been sat down and had a proper chat to and said, look, you're 17, you've got an opportunity that most players around the country and the world would absolutely scream for. And you're on the path to becoming a professional footballer. You need to really work on your work ethic and making sure that you're keeping your head above the level. Honestly, one of the biggest strokes of genius Carl had this season was dropping him for that game when he was found to not be meeting his requirements as a junior player. So during training, he thought he was above the team. Carl reminded him and put him back in his place and said, "No, you're not above the team. No one is. We all work as we all work as one. And if you're not working with us, you're working against us." So his work ethic is definitely improving. Even the last couple of interviews post-match, I've noticed a big change in his mentality. There's quite a few of us that still he has to prove himself. I know it sounds silly considering this kid's coming on in 15, 30 minutes, end of game, and absolutely, scoring bangers for fun. But there's more to the game than just being able to score a goal,
Yeah.
And I think as footballers, we know that you need to make sure that you're there for 100% of the game and the week, rather than just being there for 20% and scoring the highlights. In saying that, though, what was hilarious was watching the City Football Group, right, club worth millions, a free man zoning a 17-year-old who's just come on. So the first run, you watch him going towards the wing, on the right wing, they are free man zoning him. They are that shit scared of a 17-year-old that they've had to do that. Now, and that was just glorious.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm.
But this whole discussion around Irakunda and his mentality and his, for lack of a better word, ego. Was this not the same problem that Western United had with him last year?
It possibly was. But if you think about it this way, the difference between Western United and Adelaide United, we are set in a mentality at the moment where we are developing youth.
Yeah, correct.
That is our objective. We are developing youth to become professional footballers. And once they've gotten to a certain stage, being able to look at, moving them on to international for a profit. Let's not bullshit it here. That's how, as Adelaide United, we remain profitable and be able to maintain the status that we currently have.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, there's a good chance that was possibly the issue they were having as well. And they've gone, we can't deal with this because we've got players who are in their peak at the moment, would rather focus on that.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that was a discussion that we had with the boys from West Aussie.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Carl even turned around. All right. So I've dealt with Carl quite a fair bit in the NTC days. And that was his objective, was he was able to find the right diamonds in the rough. All right. Smash him where he needed to. But then he also has the really unique ability as a coach to go, I'm not giving you instructions. You know what you need to do. Go out there and show him what you can do. Because I've seen it for the last 5-6 years as you've developed as a player in the youth leagues. So that's one thing that I really appreciate to watch youth players. And you have a look at the stats that came out, I think it was the last couple of days from the A-League. Players under the age of 19 that are currently playing the A-League.
Yeah.
We're in the top two, if not the first spot, for having that sort of, mentality of going, doesn't matter if you're 18 or 19, if you can play and you're going to smash it, then go out there and do something.
I'd go out on a limb here and say that I would go so far as to say that Adelaide have got the lowest average age across any squad in the A-League.
If you didn't have one day Javier Lopez and ICS, yeah, we would.
Even with them. Wouldn't
Yeah.
drag up
Oh,
your
yeah, we
average
do.
age.
Yeah. It's yeah, Adelaide's an interesting one. We'll talk, obviously we talk about, this, as you said, this 17-year-old freak who's banging goals in for fun. The biggest thing for me is watching his footwork and watching him. And this is the thing, this is my mentality. This is me as, I've very much played the game for a long time, and my brain is now starting to go to coach mode. Because that's what I will be doing after my career finishes. But it's watching him. It's watching how quick he corrects a mistake.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I've noticed about him, is whether it's been the size friggin' 10 boot or whatever it is, or size 12 boot up the arse from his previous mistakes kicking in. But the goal that he scored a couple of weeks ago, where he lost that ball in transition and then friggin' went back, bullied him back off the ball to win the ball, could have played 3 players, which all would have been the right decision, but still friggin' took it upon himself to go, no, I'm going to friggin' finish this. I'm gonna at least have the shot here, because one, I lost the ball, so which therefore I made the mistake. I then corrected that mistake by winning the ball back. So therefore, I've done all the work. I'm gonna earn myself the right to have this shot. So it's those little things there for me that makes me feel this kid could end up anywhere. You know what I mean?
So
He surprises me more than a bloke like Azani. Azani from City, when he first came in, was electric. He was lightning. He was very quick to correct his mistake, but he didn't do it. He did it. He did it in a completely different way, and therefore, I find now he's being punished. Azani, I feel for himself. I think he's punishing himself, not anyone else. No one else is doing it for him. He's punishing himself because he had, whether it was the wrong guidance, he went away too early, which is what I thought originally when he
Yeah, we all said that.
Probably should have stayed for maybe 1 or 2 years more, whatever it may be. But I think this kid is going to be the right deal if he stays at Adelaide. I don't think he should be going anywhere else in the A-League. I don't think he'll get the same effect out at City. I don't think he'll get the same effect at a Sydney or a Melbourne Victory, these bigger clubs. And they are. That's no disrespect to Adelaide. They're bigger because they've got the funds, which therefore a youngster's like, I can go anywhere. The sky's the limit. Because Melbourne Victory and so forth are only thinking dollar signs. They're thinking build him up, sell him off. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he goes over the next remainder of the season. But the biggest thing I'm looking forward to and to seeing from him is the off season. What he's going to do in the off season. What he's going to do when there is no football. What he's going to do when you are in the longest off season in football history.
So that's a good thing. He's still got the NPL A-League. NPL Adelaide United team. So he's still playing for them as well.
Thankfully, and that's exactly what I was about to say. Because 9 times out of 10, most of them can't play. Right? They can't just drop to an NPL squad or whatever it is to play through the off season. They can't sort of, well, I suppose they could, I guess, be lent out on loan. Very unlikely, but they could possibly do that to another sort of Scandinavian league, which sort of plays through that period. But he's 17. He needs to play every week. You can't bench him. You can't, you can bench him, but you can't tell the kid that thanks for your efforts this year, mate. Thanks for all the work you've done this season. I'll see you in 8 weeks. Like, the kid's going to lose his mind. He's going to go off he's going to go rails. He's going to go backwards. So he's lucky. He's lucky that he's still got that backwards step where he can go back to the NPL, or whatever you want to call it, and away he goes there, which is a good thing. But I think you touch on the development, the youth development. I don't know if this will be the last thing on the Adelaide scenario, but I don't know if anyone's seen it come out this week. Adelaide City, I believe it's Adelaide City, have just signed a partnership with
Atalanta,
to which at the moment, especially in Italy, probably I'd say within definitely the top 5 in Europe. One of the top 5 best scouting and youth development clubs in the world today. Getting a partnership with them, which will see the Adelaide guys have a pathway to a big club, but at the same time, Adelaide being able to reap reward by getting some of these guys from Atalanta and that to come back here to sort of, get a bit of experienced players to come in.
Yeah, and because of that partnership, we'll wait for Adelaide United in the off season to announce the exhibition match. Isn't this generally how these things sort of roll?
Yeah,
it won't be United's year evidence; it will be Atalanta.
And the biggest thing, the one thing for me is, you talk about youth development and academies and stuff like that. For me, the best academy in the world today is still Feyenoord. There is nothing better than Feyenoord's academy. I think they run the show so well. But I think the best thing about Feyenoord's academy is they haven't branched. They have not branched anywhere. They will not. And I couldn't imagine how many clubs have sort of gone to them going, hey, let's strike up a partnership. But they're like, fuck that. They're just going to friggin' breed and breed and breed.
Yeah, churn them.
And they just make so much money off their youth. And they're not idiots. And they're
Ajax are the same.
And they're not shy. Ajax is definitely up there as well. But they're not shy to admit and go, yeah, we made $80 million off these 12 kids this year.
Mm-hmm.
Who gives a shit? Like, we're not winning titles. You know what I mean? Like, we're not winning Champions Leagues. We're not winning all these freaking big shit. So we need to make money somehow. So look, at the end of the day, he's a wizard. He's doing great things over there at Adelaide, and may continue after this week.
Yeah, you have a look at the under 20s that played and pumped the 9-1. A lot of those kids at the moment are playing for Adelaide United youth team. You got Bernardo who's coming in and finding form. We've just signed a scholarship deal with Musa Toure, which is the younger brother of Al Hassan and Mohamed Toure. And then you've still got the sister of the Toures, who at the moment's playing still in the junior girls over here. And I was lucky enough to referee her a couple of seasons ago, and she's a freak. Like, she literally has the combination skills of both the Toure brothers at the moment. And I swear, every time that the kid starts developing into semi-professional to professional footballer, they get better with each child. So I don't know what it is, whether it's the water over here, because everyone says it's apparently shit. We breed them. We breed some really good footballers over here, and it's just nice to finally start seeing it being credited, because for so long we've been absolutely frustrated with this, and I'm sorry to say this, but Eastern State rhetoric, where that's where the home of football is.
Don't blame us, blame Sydney.
Anyway, we'll quickly touch on the A-League as we're talking about it, as we're currently talking about it now. I'll just quickly run through them now. We're talking about Adelaide. Adelaide 4-2 winners over Melbourne City. Great victory for Adelaide. At the end of the day, there is no secret. Melbourne City are the benchmark. Them getting beat 4-2 is not going to disrupt their benchmark status. As probably kisses the badge like a twat.
Hey, I was just following Lockie Bar, all right?
Very good, very good. So 4-2 for that one on the Friday night. We've got Western Sydney Wanderers 2-0 over Central Coast with the red card there to the Central Coast Mariners. Nothing unusual for them. Seems to be sort of nearly one of them every week. We've got one last week, one this week. So 2-0 to Western Sydney, which I thought was a bit of an upset, in my opinion. Sydney FC 1-0 over Melbourne Victory. Well,
that's your upset.
Really? Yeah, see, I don't think so. I think Melbourne Victory are done. I think I just feel they need to leave Popper alone. It's not his fault. He needs a fair go. He hasn't got his sons there with him to sort of guide him through, and shit like that. They're doing much better things without him, and who's the better Popovich these days? Time will tell. What
Well,
else
he
do we?
does a job.
Yeah, well, exactly right. And the two boys are probably going to have a job over him very, very soon. Western United 2-1 over Perth. Bit of an upset there, I believe, as well. I think Perth are playing some good football at the moment, and Western United have finally decided to show up the last 2 weeks. Thanks for that. MacArthur 3-2 over Brisbane. Probably no surprise there. Another red card as well to Brisbane Raw, but MacArthur, I don't know, they're looking pretty good.
They're hot and
at the
cold.
moment. Yeah, they are hot and cold. They are very hot and cold. And then 2-1 Wellington over the Jets. What can you say? Friggin' honestly. Absolute
I can
shambles.
tell you exactly what I'm.
Yeah, go on.
Well, Duncan's fault again.
Oh, fuck.
No, he is. He's to blame for both those goals.
There's 11 players on that pitch.
And Duncan's to blame for both of them.
Oh, spoken like a true referee.
No, spoken like a true Jet supporter.
Actually, spoken by a referee, probably get an A-League job he can count. It's more than fucking some of them can do. Mate, seriously, unbelievable.
He's off. He's off. He's off. It's a
5
blur. It's a blur.
I said to him, I said, friggin' it's good. He deserves the A-League job. Why
Hey,
don't you take it in there?
Robbie, how can you give out red and yellow cards when you got Vaseline all over your glasses?
It's funny, you think that's Vaseline?
Probably. Well, he splooged like just in a silhouette around himself on his camera.
Yeah, I watched Irakunda's goal again.
I can picture the chance now to Robbie on the side from the sideline of the referee in the middle. Big, it's sunscreen in disguise. It's sunscreen in disguise. We all know what it is. It's sunscreen in disguise.
You know what the worst part is, right? So I'm in the middle of the Red Army Bay, normally banging the drums away. Decision's made. We're not happy with it. All of a sudden I hear, referee's a wanker. The referee's a wanker. And they're pointing. And then suddenly it just starts gradually moving towards me. Every freaking time.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, freaking, we dominated. 18 shots to their 11, 57% of possession to their 43, 590 passes to 461. It just goes on.
Yeah.
It's just the biggest. But again, 19 fouls to 9. That's where it killed us. You know what I mean? Things like that, you can't foul that many times because unfortunately, one of those fouls is going to end up either A, in the box or freaking very close to it. And yeah, so anyway, it is what it is. We do what we do best, and we bounce back and we beat Adelaide. What can we say? I can picture it now. Headlines: young 17-year-old friggin' loses shit over friggin' goal post regulations. Wants tape measure to friggin' make sure that the friggin' goals were legitimate. And friggin' considering that he hits some fucking top pidge every time, doesn't matter where he friggin' wants the ball to go, it ends up bullet in the top corner. Unfortunately, he reckons because he missed, the goals were too short.
All right, Enigma. The handball is always going to be given by VAR. Can't blame the players being taught wrong. Keep your hands below your shoulders. Me and Robbie were talking about this before stream.
Yeah.
And I said to Robbie, how, why? And Robbie gave me the and Robbie gave me the breakdown on it.
So, you watch the actual play. The player is not watching where the ball is. He's watching the attacker. As he has not jumped to head the ball. He has jumped to block the opposition attacker to be able to play the ball. The ball's landed on his arm. He's basically in an unnatural position to prevent the play. So every day of the week, I have no issues with that. And yeah, I'll have a bit more to say about red cards later as well.
But yes, and going back as well, I don't blame Jenko for that either, Enigma, because you can see in the replay on it as well that Jenko was actually standing on the goal line behind Duncan.
Yeah.
Again, Jenko is only X amount of, space wide, and the goal is a hell of a lot wider than that.
Yeah.
He can only do so. All he can do is pick a spot and fucking stand there.
Exactly right. Welcome everyone again who's joined in. Maddie's just joined us as well. And I know Chatty was here just before as well. Noopy's always on the lurk. So, yeah, welcome to everyone in the chat. Feel free, get your opinions in there on the games and so forth. Just a real quick one, obviously, for this week's upcoming fixtures. Perth Glory, Western Sydney on Friday night. Should be a cracker there. Perth only been beaten by City at home this year. So, you would think they're going to pick up another 3 points there. Newcastle Jets, Adelaide on Saturday night at 7:45. I'll be at that one. So if anyone's around, feel free. Come say good day, come have a beer, whatever. Melbourne City, Brisbane Roar. Central Coast versus Macarthur. Wellington versus Sydney. Melbourne versus Western United on Monday, the 13th of March. Public holiday in Melbourne. For any confusion out there to why that's been played on Monday. The kings of the public holiday. Victoria friggin' feel like they need a public holiday for everything that happens in the year. AFL,
I don't make the rules. I don't make the rules.
Mate, it's the one.
Hey, we get one as well, so we're not complaining.
Hey, at the same point as well, I went through it, considering my calendar in April. I don't even have to do a full week's worth of work in the month of April at all.
Yeah,
I got like a 4-day weeks for the entire month of April.
Happy days, friggin' win for that one. Yeah, New South Wales, the only one who doesn't get a public holiday on Monday. We get ours, luckily, on the Monday after the grand final. So we'll take that.
Just have a chat with Destination New South Wales. I'll get it sorted for you.
Oh, fuck them. In saying that, though, ladies and gentlemen, the Coast game, April the 23rd,
No, 22nd.
22nd. I'll be there. Come have a beer.
There you go. Benny's in the house.
I'll
We
be up.
may even have
I'll
some
be up
business
north.
cards for you.
I should bring them, shouldn't I?
You should.
I should.
Good old business cards. He might even friggin' whack his friggin' bloody corner flag game shirt on that we friggin' bought him.
Oh, you got
Oh,
it.
fuck. No.
No shirt, no party, mate. No shirt, no
Right.
party.
You know what? I've never worn it outside this room.
Wow.
Then do it.
You need to.
Yep.
So that's the week's fixtures there. You've heard it there first. Benny's friggin' on his way up. Didn't even tell me about it, so he might even need a friggin'
It's a fucking dick. You've known about it for like fucking 2 weeks.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
You've known about it for 2 weeks.
So yeah, so that's pretty much that's what was in the A League. We're going to quickly dissect through some of the NPL really, really briefly, really quickly. Some of the things that we've sort of seen, and so forth. I'm going to quickly duck through the Queensland NPL very, very quickly. We've got Moreton Bay United after 2 games sitting on top. Brisbane City, Gold Coast United, and Redlands United rounding out the top 4 there. Some of this week's results: Eastern Suburbs got done by the Gold Coast Knights 1-0. Peninsula Power got done 2-0 by Brisbane City. Redlands 2-0 over Olympic. Gold Coast and Brisbane Raw sealing out a draw. Sunshine Coast and the Lions 1-1. And Moreton Bay, as we said, top of the table there against Rockdale Rovers 2-0 there. Quite interesting. I went through the sort of fixtures there and had a bit of a look and so forth. Friggin' interesting to see who's up there these days. Coaching, playing, it's sort of all over the shop. Bloody Scotty McDonald up there, bloody coaching. Friggin' Cowburns left friggin' Maitland and made his way up there. Very, very interesting there. So that's pretty much that one there. Going to duck into Sydney. New South Wales NPL, Sydney United 58 sitting on top after 5 games. Rockdale second, IPL on third, Blacktown fourth. With that one, and we've got the results coming up as we speak. Maybe we don't. Oh, we did. We don't. Nope. Didn't want to fucking work. Of course you don't, you dickhead. Pictures. There it is. There it is. Competition. Oh, seriously? Why does it freaking do that? Yeah, you have it. It's all done, and then friggin' no, I don't think we're gonna work today. Friday 10th, Saturday 11th. Oh, look at past shit, you freaking dickhead. Played 5. Round 5 completed. Says that it's completed, but doesn't give me the scoreline. Well, that's very fucking stupid. Very.
Were they using dribble?
Mate, don't get. That's another topic which we'll talk about at the end of friggin' we go through all this shit. So at the end of the day, I'm not going to go through the fixtures because fuck them, they're not giving them to me. But that's pretty much happening there. The other one is the Northern New South Wales, which is the one that I can sort out here. Lambton, Jaffers and Maitland was abandoned, as I mentioned. That was 1-1 at the time. Broadmeadow Magic 2-0 over Western Bears. New Lambton, New Kids on the Block going down to Charlestown 1-0. Cooks Hill, dominant performance against Lake Macquarie, 5-2 over that one. Edgeworth, 2-0 over Olympic. And Valentine. We'll touch on that a bit later as well. Over the Buds, 1-0 with an early goal in the first half, and that was pretty much all it took to seal that one out. For that, yeah. So very interesting sort of first round in the Northern New South Wales NPL. Got a couple of interesting results there. As I said, Cooks Hill being so dominant over Lake Macquarie, I thought that was a freaking cracker. And they'll be a team to watch, I think, this year. Charlestown, they struggled a bit. Their first half was pretty average, very, very slow off the start. I watched that one on Bar TV. So everyone in Newcastle, or around, I suppose, around Australia that wants to watch the Northern New South Wales football, jump on to bartv.com or jump on their Facebook page. All Northern New South Wales games will be live streamed there. They do a great commentary and good stats and everything else. So yeah, great to watch football that way. Otherwise, you can always go to NPL TV, which will pretty much get every league, every competition in Australia. Live watching it that way there. Yeah. Other than that, big shout out to Taylor Regan, team of the week. Got a massive rap. Round 1. Boogs was nowhere to be seen, so friggin' made him look like shit. his poor old teammate. But yeah, Taylor Reeves, he had a solid performance. He looked so good. He was just well and truly out there to friggin' cause ruckus and make a difference, and he definitely did that. He gave the poor old New Lambton a bit of a headache. Sort of they struggled. They honestly struggled to get anywhere near the goals. To be fair, they were sort of having very very long range pot shots outside the box and so forth. Not much happening inside the 18. So. Yeah, that's pretty much my friggin' 3 there that I've got through. Who wants to go next, guys, out of you pair?
Robbie's all right.
Robbie's
Yeah, I can go.
Done, mate.
All right, so I had a look at the Football West. At the moment, they're up to the final series of their night series for the NPL men. So Inglewood will be facing Olympic Kingsway in the final of the NPL WA series this Saturday, following a couple of semi-finals last at Inglewood. So the first game was Kingsway were way too good for Armidale, as 2 goals from Tyler Garner and 1 from Syrian Byrne gave the side a 3-0 win. And then Inglewood booked their place into the game at Drago Reserve with a last-minute gasp of a 3-2 win over Sterling Macedonia. So that's going to be on, I believe, this week at 7:15 local time. So if you are over there, if you do like your football in the West, Inglewood United versus Olympic Kingsway. So it should be an interesting match between those two. And then we move on to Football South Australia. NPL is into its round of, I reckon we're up to round 4 this week, so it would have been round 3 last. We've had some really interesting results lately. So first up, we had Sturt Lions up against West Adelaide. Sturt beat them 1-0. So West Adelaide back into the NPL this season after being promoted from State League 1. We had Adelaide Comets versus FK Beograd, 3-0 for the Comets there. So they've definitely stepped up with a good squad this year. So it'll be interesting to see. The biggest shock that I had, Michael Jakobsen's Adelaide Olympic got beaten by South Adelaide 3-0. So that was a big win for South Adelaide. Modbury Jets, they went up against Croydon FC. They beat them 2-1. And then an absolute cracker between 2 of probably the big powerhouses of Adelaide, Metro Stars versus Campbelltown City, ended in 3-2. So it was a cracking game. I would highly recommend NPL TV or even the Football South Australia's YouTube. Have a look at the replay of that one. It's an absolute pearler. Then on Sunday, Adelaide City actually faced Adelaide United. And if you want to see what we're very excited with in regards to Musa Toure, I would highly recommend watching his goal. It's going to show you that if you think Irakunda's good, this kid's coming up to the same bar. So round 4 kicks off this week. There's going to be some decent games. Always check your local dribble or your Football South Australia website because honestly, there's some cracking football going on at the moment, both in the NPL, State League 1 and even State League 2 has some amazing football as well. And that's me done for my report.
Cheers for that, mate. Just to answer a quick question before Benny goes in here. What have we got? Matty had Henny Penny for dinner. Happy days. Mary Brennan, can you lads introduce me? Who is the Adelaide active supporter drummer is, please? Well, you pretty much...
So
You're looking at him.
You're pretty much looking at me. So yeah, I am the active support drummer. I'm also the secretary of the Red Army. So I live, eat, sleep, breathe football. If I'm not at Adelaide United, then I'm refereeing on the weekends for the local leagues, anywhere from community up to NPL. So we actually, how long's it been now I've done you guys? Be about 3 or 4 years now, wouldn't it?
Oh,
Been a
easy,
while.
Easy,
Yeah,
easy,
3 yeah.
years, yeah.
4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you guys came over for an away trip and that was it. We just
Yeah.
been running amok since then.
That was it,
So you always find me behind the goals. I was potentially there on Friday night, and I may or may not have been wearing a bucket hat, and we may or may not have been chanting "Hiccup the bucket" to his head.
It's just not the same as friggin' there's a Mars bar, is it, Benny? Never gets old.
Oh
Never gets
no.
I completely agree, Enigma. And look, I will not. You will watch very closely. Anytime they start chanting "referee's wanker," I will pull away from those drums. At the end of the day, I acknowledge there's times where the referee makes a decision that people may not agree with. Most of the time, from what I see, it's a right decision. So I won't condone that sort of stuff. But as I said, as long as we do it in a respectful manner, have a bit of fun, let our hairs down, what's left of it, that's all that matters. So thank you.
No, it's good. It's good to be associated with somebody who's not a friggin' racist, a racist friggin' supporter group. Unlike friggin' someone else we know in the chat right now. Yeah, I'm sure he'll pop up in a minute.
I'm just reading the chat.
We won't go too much into that, but let's just say that he got into trouble from security. He was here. He'd been in Newcastle for 15 minutes and found himself into some trouble pretty quick. There was one there from Benny Jorgensen. Did you send Brock off? He'd also posted something up here before, which I'm sure Benny's seen it.
Yeah, I saw it.
In capital letters, I need answers. Did Benny fall asleep last week?
I'll give you the short answer. I'll give you the short answer. I'll give you the short answer. Yes. Yes. While sitting upright in this exact chair, mid-conversation, mid-stream, yes.
Now, do you want to know the other best bit? Josh has messaged me 5 minutes before the stream's about to start, going, I need your help. Ben's not here. Can you give me a hand? I've started setting up my equipment to get ready for the stream. As I'm just logged into Discord, Josh is like, don't worry, we got this, fam. You're okay. And then I get a message halfway through the stream. You're not going to fucking believe it. Ben has fallen asleep.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey. You did not fall asleep on Taylor Regan. He is
No, I did not.
And you should respect him.
That's right, I did.
Respect that boy.
Mate,
Respect him.
Unbelievable.
Josh must have got on a rant about something and I must have just zoned.
Yep.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, it would have been Josh would have gone on a rant about something and I would have gone, oh yeah. Fucking douche. What doesn't help is that I wasn't on camera, so I didn't have fuck off lights in my face. Because they tend to keep me awake.
Is it? Sorry, I'm enjoying the chat here.
Uh,
Mary, are you currently stalking Redwig Steve? Because you've got more taps on him than me and the club does at the moment.
while
Enigma, we do have a heat policy. We'll have a chat about it later on.
Righto. While Robbie's scouting through chat and friggin' feel free chatting there away to the guys. We'll get on to Benny and we'll get Benny going through the NPL. And yeah, if there's any questions you want in there, guys, Robbie will answer them through the chat, I'm sure.
All right, so I've got Vic and Taz. As for NPL Tasmania, guess what? You shit out of luck because it hasn't started yet.
Oh, I noticed that.
That's because there's only like 8 teams or 7 teams or something.
Oh, I know. I went in there and it's like doesn't start till like start of April. Like,
Yeah.
well, why are they bidding for a second division?
Because they need more football.
Unbelievable. Anyway.
All right. So anyway, we'll jump across to the home state. It is the NPL Victoria. I'm glad he doesn't make me go through all the NPLs in Victoria because there's fucking 3 of them. Unlike every other state.
There's some good competition in those freaking second and third NPL.
Oh shit, yeah, there is. I just have a life. Okay, so the couple of starts. So at the moment, after 3 games played, because we're currently in round 3, South Melbourne are top of the table, undefeated. The big worry at the moment is that Bentley Greens are fucking zip for 3. They are currently sitting at the bottom of the NPL table.
Yeah, but not the only ones.
No, they're not the only ones. Second last, on 1 point, is Heidelberg.
Melbourne Knights are down there, I believe, as well.
Knights are third last.
Yeah. Everyone out there playing the game right now, other than Bentley, these are the guys that have put in for friggin' a second division.
Well, not only that, but they're always the ones that make it through the Australia Cup as well.
Very true.
They're the big ones. So coming through the games of the week, we start off with the first game of the week, which was Bentley Greens against Green Gully. Josh will tell you, got a very soft spot for Green Gully. Mainly to go because we like to go there to watch the Coast lose against NPL competition in the FFA Cup. But yeah, that was played at Kingston Heath out of Bentley. Bentley got smacked 2-0 by Green Gully.
Ouch.
Yeah, ouch. Big oofed. Okay, second game of the round, which was also on the Friday night, was St Albans Saints against Heidelberg. St Albans Saints getting off the ground on that one, winning 1-0. What else have we got here? The first game of the Saturday, 3:15. Another team that's close to both me and Josh, Avondale FC against Hume City. Absolute cracker of a match. That one ended up Avondale 3, Hume City 2, down to the wire. Avondale scoring in the 87th minute.
Oh, wow. Shit.
Yeah. So Anthony would have been going off his nut. Moving out of the Saturday evening, and it's sort of the obscure teams of the Victorian NPL. The team that sort of nobody, they're the forgotten team. They're generally middle of the pack. They're never up there, but they're never in relegation dogfights, and nobody ever really talks about them, and that's Port Melbourne Sharks. Port Melbourne Sharks. They ended up drawing with newcomers Moreland City. 1-1. Oh. We move now to another game on the Saturday night. Relative newcomers that have finally made their way back into the NPL again this season. Play the promotion hopes from last season. And that is Altona Magic versus North Geelong Warriors. Altona Magic coming away with the win on that one, 1-0. We move across to the eastern suburbs of Melbourne. So from an all-western affair to an all-eastern affair on the Saturday evening, and that's Dandenong Thunder and Oakley Cannons. Oakley Cannons came away with that one with a 2-1 win. And finally, moving on to the Monday. Weird. It was the Greeks versus the Croatians. It was South Melbourne versus Melbourne Knights. 2 very historic and prestigious, highly supported clubs in Melbourne. And South Melbourne came away with that one with a 2-1 win.
Very good. Very good. Well, that's pretty much our quick wrap, obviously, on the NPL. We're going to touch a lot more on the NPL. More so because, we are looking at a second division hopefully coming in sooner rather than later. They are talking, obviously, next season.
Yeah, March next year.
They want this sort of up and running, which doesn't leave much time for these clubs to sort of perform, because as much as it is a financial side of things, it definitely is a performance, as well as facility. Because it's easy enough to freaking bring, if they say congratulations Heidelberg, you've been selected. Well, obviously then Heidelberg will have no issues getting the best players out of Victoria into that team to represent them to play in the second division, as they obviously want to get noticed and hopefully crack into the A League. So it's going to be an interesting one for those guys who may have missed it or aren't really up on top of it yet. The 32 teams: Canberra, Croatia, and Garland United from the AC from Canberra. Those two sides from Canberra have nominated themselves. Sydney, Ipia Leichhardt, Blacktown City, Fraser Park, Marconi Stage, Rockdale Linden, Sutherland Sharks / the Cronulla Sharks. Yes, the NRL side, the Cronulla Sharks have gone in with a backing. Let's be honest, they are going to be hard to beat. Getting their name across the line for a second division spot, considering they are getting backing from an NRL club who has a shitload more money than pretty much every NPL squad there. So, again, some people might look at it as a stupid idea. Why are they allowed to do that? Whatever.
There's nothing saying that they can't.
At the end of the day, I think it's probably one of the smartest things out of all 32 teams. You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't you try and get Sutherland Sharks?
It shows intent, especially in regards to the expression of interest, especially that Football Australia, that they've got the finances backing them. There's not going to be a financial issue.
Yeah, but also they get the facilities. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah,
like, because Sutherland Sharks don't have the facilities. As soon as I seen it, I sort of done a little bit of digging. And
yeah.
Where do they play? La la la. And they don't have a great deal of facilities. But when you get it backing by the Cronulla Sharks, where they are virtually stating that you can use our field, because at the end of the day, it's money in for them. And the Cronulla Sharks can then sort of just say, well, you can pay half the rent, and we'll pay the other half because we're both using the field. Smart. It's no different to the Jets and the Knights. They both freaking pay a portion. Happy days. Win-win for everybody. Sydney Olympic have put their name in the ring. Sydney United 58, no questions there. Wollongong Wolves, well, they'll be hard to beat as well, depending on how many spots they're going to give to Sydney. So, yeah, that's pretty much the Sydney side there. Brisbane, you've got Brisbane City, Brisbane United, Wynnum Wolves, Brisbane Strikers. Wynnum, and then / Virginia United. So there's a few teams.
That's a merger.
Coming in together as a merge, absolutely. Which is very interesting. Again, you're talking about the Cronulla Sharks and so forth putting their hands in the ring to help out one team. Obviously, they're all pulling their money together to sort that out. Smart. Gold Coast Knights, Gold Coast United, Olympic FC, Peninsula Power, and Sunshine Coast Fire. Pretty much straightforward clubs you would expect to be putting their name in the ring there from Queensland. South Australia, Adelaide City, Football South Australia bid. So, Campbelltown City, North, East, Metro Stars, West Torrens, Bikola.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much just a Football South Australia bid. So it's pretty much, again, just no different.
Yeah, that one's going to be an interesting one to watch. We've been discussing it a fair bit because we're talking about 4 clubs who have got a proud history in Football South Australia. So if they are in a situation where they're looking at doing sort of a merger, it is going to be quite interesting to see how resources are pulled, who does what, and sort of, how we're going to go about it. So, look, I'm really hoping we can get 2 squads into the NSD. I know there was quite a few clubs that were quite interested to begin with. But as soon as they heard how much they were looking at just to be able to get the licensing, then on top of it, having to transform from volunteer to full-time employees for not only just the players but also the actual club support staff as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot involved in this that a lot of people probably won't see from just oh yeah, we won the national second division, right? So where do you find the extra couple of $1 million that you're going to have to spend on making sure players are now paid 52 weeks of the year rather than just if they play a game on the weekend? Where is the money going to come from where a club that's normally run by 20 to 30 volunteers now needs probably a good 15 to 20 full-time staff members? So there's a lot that's going to come into this. And if as supporters we don't look after this, and as supporters we don't actually get behind it and back it, it's going to be a money pit. And at the moment, unless we get proper funding from the required sources, it's going to be going down a certain stream without a particular instrument.
Yeah. Playford City Soccer. Pardon me. Playford City Soccer and Community Club. No, nothing about them, mate. What's the go there? Who are they?
Playford have got a good setup. They're northern suburbs, so they're probably just on the outskirts of Elizabeth. So right near where Adelaide United currently train. They've got a strong history. They've really pushed out some good players around that area. Look, if Playford have somehow got the funding, the backing for it, please, by all means. It'd be quite interesting to see if they bring in the relegation battles and promotion to watching some relegated clubs traveling towards Manapara just to be able to play.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Tasmania have only put the one in there, South Hobart. Again, you talk about history in Tasmania. There is no bigger history in South Hobart, I believe.
Oh, they're more Davenport strikers.
Yeah, but Devonport don't have they don't have the funds. They don't have the funds. They don't have the facilities. They don't. Yeah. South Hobart is one where they will have a lot of backing behind them to sort of succeed, and I would be very surprised if that's probably one that I would definitely guarantee will happen.
Yeah, because they'll use that as their push to finally get into the A-League.
Yeah, not so much obviously only to get into the A-League, but I think them and the Canberra sides are going to be very hard to sort of knock back, just as you said, because they've been pushing so hard to try and get something happening in those.
Yeah, no Canberra United.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting.
That fucking annoys me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Victoria again. There is no secrets in Victoria. They are all the ones that you would expect to go into the running. Your Avondales, your Bentley Greens, your Brunswick.
Yeah, Brunswick, Juventus, who are NPL 2 right now.
Yeah, again, but for those who don't know too much about it, they are very, very, as it says in their name, they are very heavily backed by Juventus.
They've got, trust me, they've got fucking money.
Yeah, they've got a good.
Finance will not be a problem for them. Actually, come to think of it, a lot of the Melbourne teams are very well financially backed. Like, they could all, financially, they could all burden the cost.
Yeah. Green Gully, Heidelberg United, Melbourne Knights, Preston Lions, South Melbourne are the ones there from Victoria. Western Australia sees Spearwood, Dalmatunic, and / Cockburn City. A joint one there.
Cockburn.
I'm actually surprised that ECU Joondalup never put in an expression of interest.
Actually, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
I figured they would have been first on the list for Western Australia.
Because they've been smashing in the FFA Cup the last couple of years.
Yeah, but they've got no stable income. That's from what I've been told by someone over in Perth. Their income and their books aren't good. They don't marry up. They've borrowed a lot of money that they haven't yet returned. So therefore they're in big trouble. Well, not big trouble, but Therefore they can't put the bid in. Northern New South Wales, I left them till last. Again, there's a lot of people in here sort of scratching their heads, trying to work out why Valentine FC is the only club in Northern New South Wales to put their hand up for the merger. And why wasn't Edgeworth Eagles or Broadmeadow Magic being put in there? I'm not going to touch on it too much this week because it's a topic that I pretty much want to run a whole podcast on.
Yeah.
When I know a lot more, and we know a lot more in regards to what exactly is happening, closer to sort of when we know a bit more of what exactly the criteria of what they're going to be looking for, other than the basics as facilities, lights, quantity of seats, and like how many people you can fit into the stadiums, etc. Your basic ones, but there's going to be a lot more criteria other than that. One thing I can definitely tell you is if your club does not exceed $200,000 in their bank account, you don't even get a look in. So for everyone out there sort of thinking, why, whatever, that's why. So if you haven't got $200,000 in your bank, you don't even get a look in, you don't even get asked. It's why if you look through the list and that some of them have got asterisks next to them and shit like that because they are currently being checked through finance to make sure that they've got the funds there. Valentine don't have that. I know for exact fact that they don't have that. They have about $170 million in their bank account. And therefore, this is why the overseas backing that they have apparently somehow got from an overseas backer, that's where the extra funds have come from. Again, I don't know how that will really work because at the end of the day, old mate could have $2 billion in his bank account. But do they trust him to put the money in all the time? Is a very big worry. You know what I mean? He might give them $1 million and there you go, and that's it. You know what I mean? I'm going to give you $1 million and whatever and be done with it. I'm sure the Football Federation Australia is not going to be looking for something like that. You know what I mean? They want something that's going to happen continuously. You know what I mean? They want stability. They want teams that are going to come in and be able to get the money every year, and things like that. Because at the end of the day, the main reason for those guys sort of sitting there going 200,000, what the fuck? Why is it so high? They have to prove that they can afford flights for 12 months. They have to work out. They have to prove that they can afford accommodation, traveling to all these states. Because at the end of the day, they don't know how many teams they're going to have in Victoria, how many teams they're going to have in South Australia, etc. So therefore, you could be flying to Tasmania one week, you could be then flying to Perth the next, and then you might get 2 home games. So then you get have to spend as much money. But while you're away, you have to spend money. When you travel as a squad, you're not traveling as 10 or 12 individuals. You're traveling at probably 25 to 30 people, from physios to strappers and everything else. You then have to pay these people. It's not cheap. So $200,000, I think, honestly, is cheap. If they're only asking you to be able to make sure that you definitely have that money in your bank before you even put pen to paper to put your hat in the ring, I think is cheap. Because honestly, I feel I probably would have been asking for more. I would have been like up around the 300,000 to 400,000.
Luke's just posted a really, really good comment in the chat.
Yep.
In relation to the contributions, how much we're looking at covering expenses of a club. So, an original estimate based on the 14-team league, clubs would pay $772,000 to cover the competition costs. On top of that would be the requirements to pay full-time, year-long round wages to players, a coach, and don't forget staff. Warren Miller, an administrator and a publicity officer, you're looking at pushing the budget needing to be passed over $1 million a season.
$2 million. I'd be sitting there going $2 million a season.
Yeah, easily.
$2 million a season, easy.
Absolutely.
Well, from what I've been made aware in regards to just the licensing fee to get into this NSD, you're looking at a couple of $100,000 just for that alone. Then on top of that, you've got the other bits and pieces. As I said, if you do not have the financial backing, if you do not have the finances currently available, and you don't have a track record, you're asking for trouble, chucking a team in there that can't prove that they have financial stability, and expect them to float.
Yeah, well,
This is
you
going to be a
look at it
sink or
this
swim.
way. Of the 32, they're only taking, what, a maximum of 14 or something? Between 10
Smart
and
move.
14?
Yeah, 16,
Yep.
16 was was the absolute max. There will not be any more teams.
Yeah, there won't be any more than 16.
No.
So,
Yeah.
alright, so less than half of that list.
But think about it this way as well. This is going to trickle down. This is going to have a trickle down effect. So
Oh, of course.
once you have your national second division, then that's going to impact your current national Premier Leagues because you're dropping potentially 2 to 4 squads depending on state. Then on top of that, you've got your state league ones or your under 21s or whatever you have as your current tier system. So I can only work off for South Australia. So that's going to impact your NPL. That's then going to impact your state league 1. That's going to then impact your state league 2. And then probably your collegiates or your amateurs will then have to shift up to rebuild the 2 teams that have currently been misplaced. Now, you think about it this way, what happens if the NSD does fall, all right, and you've got a club that's been around for close to 100 years, now without a division and having to find somewhere to come back into.
And quite potentially go from a professional club to a semi-professional club.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
and if your funding has been taken out, I think you hit the nail on the head, Josh. I think this is definitely a podcast and a half in itself.
Oh yeah.
It is. It is. I've been sort of tinkering with it a little bit, just trying to find as well the right people to have on the podcast. Like I feel that we need to have, people like your Simon Hills and you Daniel Garbs and blokes like that on this podcast to sort of talk a bit more in depth that they would sort of know a lot more than we do. I want to try and get Laurie McKenna on as well. He's part of the Sydney Olympic bid and pretty much running that show, and someone who's run the A-League as well. A club in the A-League would have a lot to do with the financial side of things there.
I mean, you look at it though, the Sydney Olympic bid, it all makes sense now. It all makes sense why those people are there and the players that they've got.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it does, because it makes them look good, right?
Mm-hmm.
It makes them.
They've all been there and done. They've all been there and done it before.
Yeah, but I don't think it's so much the whole fact that they've all been there and done it before. I think it's simpler than that. It's easier than that. It's the simple fact that they've thought this through. That's it.
They knew it was coming.
You know what I mean? Oh yeah, everyone knew.
They've positioned themselves in the best possible way to get themselves accepted.
Yeah. That's it. They've gone, okay, it's a possibility. We don't know exactly when it's going to happen. We're hoping it happens sooner rather than later. So let's try and get all our ducks in a row and try and sign these sort of guys to say, let's say, a 3-year contract and pray to fuck that it happens in that 3 years to get it up and running. So then when it starts to get up and running and 2024, we're gonna get the ball rolling. Then obviously your Labby Halitis and stuff like that, and Donovan sort of go, fuck, I want to be around for this. I'm not going anywhere. I'll sign another 2 years. And then it just makes it a lot easier process. The biggest one for me is how they're going to work out who gets what, right? Because the biggest thing for me is there is no question that Sydney and Melbourne are the 2 main backers, right? And that is purely because Melbourne and Sydney have been there. Again, Adelaide, don't get me wrong, Adelaide have had Adelaide United and shit like that, Adelaide City and so forth. But that's one team. I can't imagine sort of Adelaide having 3 to 4 teams in this competition. Melbourne and Sydney, you could almost get the whole competition out of those 2 states because of the backings they've had. Not for the last 5 years, not for the last 10 years, but for the last.
It's always been big. It's always been massive here.
They've always had the backing. They've always had the drive.
Like I'm pretty sure out of the Victorian group, Avondale are the youngest. Everyone else has been there for a good minimum 60 years.
Oh, in the NPL and stuff like that.
In the list of expressions of interest, Avondale are the youngest one. Everyone else has been there more than 60 years.
Yeah.
They were founded in 1984.
Avondale?
Yep.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
they're the youngest.
But, oh yeah, Preston Lions might be up there as well. But Avondale weren't Avondale. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. Avondale were Altona. Not Altona?
No.
No. What was it called? It was that mob between Green Gully and shit. They were something because a couple of years ago, again, Benny and I've got ties into that club. We know friggin' people in that club, and they weren't Avondale 5-6 years ago. They were a second division side, I think, and then just got promoted to promotion. But again, with very good backing.
Yeah.
Right. They moved their whole facility. They moved everything else. They friggin' dropped the friggin'. Oh, I can't remember.
I think they used to be Ormond.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Because they're around that Ormond, Essendon area.
Yeah, it was like Altona, but it wasn't.
Nah, it wasn't Altona.
No, it's not Altona, but it's something along that sort of similar name.
Yeah. There's a lot of clubs in and around that area.
Yeah. But anyway, as I said, I just sort of figure that the Victorians and stuff like that are going to have a lot of backing. So therefore, I can't imagine them not getting, say, 4 teams in.
Yeah.
I can't imagine them not. I can't imagine Sydney not having 4 teams in.
Yeah.
And if you look at that, that's 8 teams already.
Yeah.
I know what.
They've got to have one from. My only prerequisite for this is that there has to be at least one from every federation. At a minimum.
If they can afford it. As long as they can afford it. Yeah, I mean, like obviously you look at Tasmania have only got the 1 bid. But if they can't afford it, you can't have it. But yeah, you're right. As long as they've got the funding, as long as they can back themselves, and as long as they've got the money in the bank to sort of freaking get through this shit, absolutely. There has to be one in each at the minimum.
Yeah.
As I said, yeah. Other than your Tasmania, who may not be able to afford it, and Canberra possibly, and maybe Perth as well. They're the only sort of clubs there that you sort of go, are they going to have the backing or whatever it is? But as I said, it's not the backing now. It's not just the fact that I'll give you $2 million now.
Yeah. It's long term. It's long term.
Yeah, exactly. It's got to be long term. But anyway, we're not going to talk too much in regards to it now. We've spoken about it for a fair bit, but that will be a topic in itself as we get closer. We sort of start to dwindle down. I'm not going to sort of go into too much and organise a podcast until it sort of dwindles down that little bit to say,
it's a good couple of months off once we have more information.
There's 20 teams, and that's it. They're not going to look at it anyway, and they're not worrying about it now, until like Johnson and shit like that, until the A League finishes anyway. So they're going to get through the A League and the W League. That'll finish up, and then they'll really go back to their friggin' whoever the fuck's running the organisation to sort out everyone's finances and shit, and go right. A League's fucking done. Where are we with this shit? Who's got the money? Who doesn't? Right. Let's put them into a short draw. Right, sweet, bang. We'll narrow it down to 20. All right, now we've narrowed it down to the 20 teams that absolutely can fund this, but not for one season, but long term. Right. And then it will be shortlisted again. Who's got this? Who's got the right facilities? Who needs frigging to put better lighting in? Who needs to do this? Who needs to do that? Fucking, And as you said, as it was Robbie or someone, or you said, I can't remember who said it, but you've got to go from 50 part-timers or friggin' volunteers to full-timers. You know what I mean? So where's that coming from? Have you got them? Are they ready to go?
Yeah.
Or do you still need to interview? Oh no, we've organised it. We've got 15 full-timers. We know that they know their position. We've got a media bloke here. We've got a fucking...
A lot of clubs will have to restructure, administrative-wise.
Absolutely.
Oh, massive.
Massively.
A lot of, especially the Victorian clubs, some of those people are going to have to fall on their swords and go. You actually need a proper, like a fit and proper CEO, not some guy that's been around for 40 years or a president.
Yeah,
The biggest thing is going to be that would be a part of the NSD requirements. I reckon
it will.
Again, as I said, you've seen it yourself. You've been around local football clubs. You see how much an ego can destroy a squad. All
but
right?
then again, then there's that financial culpability as well. as a professional sporting team, you
Mhm.
can't have a club president. You have to have a CEO.
A board.
You know what I mean? There has to be,
Yeah.
in essence, something like a fit and proper person's test for AFL.
Yep.
But yeah, so look, at the end of the day, it's a good thing. I feel that it needs to happen. I'm still very weary of. I don't know. I've just got this very strong feeling in my mind that I think it's a bit early. I still think that this is a couple of years off in my head.
Mm.
Just for the money side of things, I just can't see how they can organise this money and stuff like that long term.
Mm.
It's okay to go in and get an investor or whatever it is and go friggin' yeah, cool. I'll give you $2 million to get you up and running, but then trying to explain to them and go, well, no, this is a 5-year plan or
Yeah.
5 years. Oh
See,
shit!
what
Hang on. Like
the one big problem that I see with now is, we all know, I don't know what it's like in other states, but I can definitely tell you in the Victoria, as far as the Victorian team go, they're all very cultural. There are people in those clubs. There have been people in these clubs that have been like, their parents and their fucking parents' parents have fucking supported some of these clubs. They're all very community driven because of that ethnicity.
Yeah.
If they were to go professional and are required to be bought and go under an ownership model, I can see that backfiring on a lot of the ethnic Victorian clubs very badly. Because in essence, that club is being handed over as a professional entity.
Are you saying South Melbourne Mike would be quite upset with this?
Yeah.
Probably. He's not the team that I was thinking of in regards to.
No.
The team I think of in regards to this,
Melbourne Knights.
Melbourne Knights.
The Croatian Eagles.
Sorry, I had to get in a quick dig at South Melbourne Mike. He still blocked me. I don't know why.
But again, you're going from like the structure has to completely change. And if it has to be into a point where it needs to somewhat mirror A-League clubs where they need an owner, that's going to strike a hard chord with a lot of the very ethnic clubs in Melbourne. Because they will fight tooth and nail not to make that happen.
No, they won't. They're not going to change their name.
No, they won't change. No, it's got nothing to do with the name, but just the way that the club is, the structure, and has to be passed over to a single entity owner. That's gonna be, that'll be a sticking point. Wait for it. It'll happen. It'll be a sticking point.
Luke, we're definitely going to wrap this one up, but especially in regards to this, the last thing I'll say in regards to this whole Newcastle Jets Valo thing he's got written down there and stuff like that, I would almost say, and again, I deal in facts, so don't take this as you want to take it. But I would almost definitely say, from people I've spoken to, Valentine making the friggin' final cut is a very much 0.1 of a chance.
Yeah, it's slim to none.
They are, honestly, I have a very strong feeling that they're doing this for pretty much publicity. And that's not having a dig at them. I think that's more trying to get their name out, trying to freaking go, well, fuck it, no one else did, so let's throw a hand.
Somebody's got to do it.
As I said, I've been told by people who in that sort of area, they only have about 170,000 in the bank, so therefore they've got overseas backing from somewhere. Very surprised that fucking they can get one, but the Jets can't. Go figure. But that's another story for another day. Little conversation I had with a source that I found out about this. But yeah, so I just don't think they're going to have the resources. They don't have the facility for it. They'd have to move somewhere else. and it's just not going to happen, unfortunately. So the only way you'll see Valentine versus the Jets is if the Jets fold. And
No, when the Jets get relegated and
Well-
you know, and Velo get fucking $1 million investor.
oh no, they just get relegated to the local NPL. It just Newcastle Jets for Valentine.
Give it 2 years. Give it 2 years. Jets will be in the NSD.
Everyone from Newcastle laughed at it. And yeah, absolutely, it's a piss take. But anyway, it is what it is. Before we finish up, a couple of little quick ones that I want to touch on. Thoughts on Chelsea? Now, Robbie's gone off camera.
Fucking tin
I'm
pot.
here. I'm here.
Hang on. Before I go
Only-
too far
Look.
in this, I'm going to say one thing, Joshy.
What?
Fucking Tin Pot Club. Sorry, that's the only way I've been able to describe their, like, past 8 months.
I will tell you
It's
this.
a shit
If
show.
nothing else, it is an absolute shit show. And to be honest with you, I've been trying to figure out how $860 million is worth a 1-0 win against Leeds, which then turned into a 2-0 2-0 win this morning, thankfully to a penalty. And then, yeah, look, I don't know. Chelsea frustrate the living crap out of me as a supporter because there's one moment where they're absolutely playing gloriously, and then all you want to do is wear a badge where it says Potter stinks. But yeah, that's about as much as I've got. I'm focusing on that Leeds United right now, and they're keeping me sane.
So the main reason I bring that up is it's been a very hot topic at work with a couple of my colleagues. One who is an absolute Chelsea twat, to the point where he's got the Chelsea logo tattooed on him, and
Oh, wow.
he's got it gets worse. Gets worse. You think that's it, but no, it gets worse. So he's got the Chelsea logo tattooed on him, which is all good and well. Whatever. 95% of people who they're diehards and shit like that, who support their club and shit like that, have a tattoo of their club or whatever on their body. Fine with that, no problem at all. I know plenty of Liverpool fans who have the logo tattooed on them, and I've contemplated doing it myself.
Yeah, I've contemplated doing Birmingham, have done for years.
But when you go below that Chelsea logo, and there is this fucking scribble shit underneath it, which to me just looks like shit and scribble. And you explain to him and you ask him what the hell that is.
Result
goes
from
to
what
you.
game?
He goes, that was the. I find it funny because it's just ironic that he was at the game and whatever. It goes back to Steven Gerrard
Oh, fuck off.
and a Demba Bass fucking.
Yeah, here we go.
goal. So he was at the game that day. Very excited, very happy days. Everyone was excited as a Chelsea fan to fucking watch Steven Gerrard fall on his ass. He ended up frigging that day virtually leaning over as far as he possibly could over the fence line to get a signature by Demba Ba.
What a twat.
He has gone straight from the fucking field, straight to the pub, loaded him up, straight to the tattoo shop, therefore etching that Demba Ba signature onto his skin. So there's a Chelsea logo, a Demba Ba signature tattooed, and then the words, he slips on his ass. I'm like, you're a cunt. And that right there sums up every Chelsea fucking fan. I'm like, you're a dead set cunt. But
No, it's
I'll
not
you know
even
what?
that. If he just showed me something like that and I don't know this person,
fuck.
as an Englishman, I'd look at that and just want to punch him in the face.
Yeah, lost my trolley. But the main
Because
reason
they'll be screaming for him fucking 12 months later in a World Cup.
why I brought it up, Chelsea, was the simple fact that they're struggling at the moment. They go and beat friggin' Dortmund or whatever. Fuck knows how.
Whoop-de-doo.
Very confused with that one. Dortmund's undefeated. Friggin' they haven't lost a game in fuck knows how long, and
Yeah.
then they get beat. But did that save the coach's job, or
Writing's on the wall.
right? So where I'm at with it is his job solely on the line from the Champions League? So if he progresses in the Champions League, right, and they fucking go on to win it, or let's say they don't win it, let's say they fucking make this final four, right? They've done a really good job, but they're really struggling in the champion in the Premier League, which therefore they don't. Let's say they don't make the Champions League, they finish sixth or something. Is that enough? Is that going to be enough to save his job? Because it seems like, to me, it seems like that Abramovich and shit like that, and all the crap, they're like, let's just see what he does with this. The league's gone. Not worrying about the league anymore. But what's he going to do with this Champions League run? What are your thoughts as a Chelsea fan? If he slips up now and he loses, let's say, round of 16 or whatever we're up to, whatever it is, if he loses and they get relegated next game, is he out the door?
He has to be.
Or
He has to be. Because okay, so let's have a look at what he's done this season, right? How many signings has he brought on saying this will plug it, this will plug it, this will plug it, this will plug it? There's something wrong there with the culture of the club at the moment. Let's be completely upfront and honest here. You can't have that much talent in your squad and let through the goals that we are, or no disrespect to Leeds, but we shouldn't be just winning 1-0 with the squad we've got. It's as simple as that. So there's got to be something else there in regards to the way Potter has set up the back room that needs to be changed. There's got to be something in the back room where maybe he's lost the locker room. I'm not sure, but look, to be quite frank with you, this year has been dismal. The results that we have been getting are just not good enough.
Right. The thing is, the biggest thing for me is the fact that they're not that bad.
Right. Let me put it to you this way: if you were a mid-tier club in the English Premier League, getting the results Chelsea are getting at the moment, you'd be content. You'd be happy with that, right? But if you've gone out and you've chucked a load of money, and I'm talking billions of dollars, into great players throughout the full season, and you're pulling up and happy with a 1-0 win against Leeds, it's the same with any of the big clubs over in England. If you're not getting the results, but you're chucking a huge amount of money towards the problem, then you got to start looking: is it the coaching staff that are the issue?
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is that I just think he was. I've always thought he was the wrong manager. I just didn't think he was that sort of coach to be that high up.
No.
I mean, I think Potter should have taken someone like, if he went to the Toon, probably would have been happy. Brighton, your Brentfords, Aston Villa's, Crystal Palace, someone, a team that's got money and backing.
It was too big of a jump for his position at the time.
Well, that's exactly it. Yeah, you leave Brighton now sitting above you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't get much worse than that. You've left the club and gone backwards. Yeah, it's an interesting thing to see. 9 victories for Chelsea. That's just like, I thought we were bad.
Look, I still to this day do not understand why they got rid of Tommy.
Yeah.
From what we were hearing, there was issues between him and the ownership. the ownership wanted him to basically, give them a report on a minute by minute basis
Yep.
through WhatsApp, and he was just like, "I'm not into this.
Yeah.
You're the owners. You're paying me to do my job. Go away. Let me do my job, and then if I have questions to answer, then I have questions to answer. But I'm not going to be here sitting and speaking to you every 5 seconds because you want an update. That's not how we do things here." So I think that's why he got basically real. Because you look at it this way, all right, in the 21-22 season, we were UEFA Champions League, UEFA Super Cup, and FIFA Club World Cup.
Yep.
So in 2023, 22-23, what we're facing 6 in the league
Yep.
as a win or a pass mark, and potentially getting knocked out next round for the Champions League.
Yeah.
So that's why we're unhappy, because we've had a basically a brilliant brilliant coach
Yeah.
and brilliant manager who got the team, got the players, got the culture that was and is
Yep.
Chelsea.
Yep.
For Potter, who I've got no disrespect towards Guy, but at the moment he's not installed the confidence that he is the man for the job.
But at the same point as well, do you think this could also be a double-edged sword? So we talk about the culture of the club, and could like bringing in Potter, obviously there's a culture change there because it's a different manager. He does things very differently. He's brought in his own backroom staff and all that as well. But could it also be a double-edged sword in the way that the culture of the administration side has changed as well because of the Todd Bowley buyout from the Abramovich era?
Yeah.
Absolutely could. And that's the thing though. If you're a smart club, you don't know about that in the public eye. Because you've got those NDAs, you've got those people close enough to you that you know they're going to keep tight-lipped.
Yeah, but at the same point as well,
So
that's almost like fighting a war on two fronts.
Absolutely.
But then,
But
because they're fighting that war on two fronts and things aren't clicking and all that as well, it's Potter's head. Because the result, because of that, then it turns into a results thing, and then everything else comes into play.
Put it this way, that has been the way of a football club since it became professional.
Yeah, but
right?
very little football clubs have to do both.
Yeah, but as soon as the players don't perform, the first one to go is always the coach. Then the players get replaced, and then it's a vicious cycle from there.
Yeah,
it's only after about 2 or 3 coaches that you start realizing that maybe it's rotten from the administration.
Yeah,
that's the problem here. Is if you can identify the problem very quick on, most clubs would be successful for their whole life. But because you're dealing with emotion and passion, it's very hard to constantly look at it from a theory-based or a rationale befitting in business.
Yeah, very, very, very quick one in regards to it. Look, at the end of the day, they've got 3 must-win games, games that they should win. There's no question about that. Crystal Palace, Everton, and Leicester, I think. Off the top of my head. Yeah, Leicester. Yeah, Leicester was one of them, I believe. I've just seen it before. Yeah, Leicester's the first one. And then they've got Everton, and then they Villa is the third one. So 3 must.
Those are going to be his nows.
Absolutely. So they're 3 must wins. You look at them where they're sitting. I think the biggest issue as well is that there is no one to replace him. I don't think there's a manager in the world right now that would fucking sit there and go, "I'll take that job."
A lot of managers that can, considering with Brexit, they'll probably have to look at an English manager.
Correct.
Which is why they went with Potter in the first place.
Absolutely. And again, that makes it very slim. I seriously thought Gerrard was freaking going to go there at one point. And thank fuck he didn't. Not just purely. I just think purely. I think Potter deserves to clean up his mess. If they give him the time to clean up his mess, which I think he will.
Yeah.
I just sort of think he's sort of come in and just gone, fuck me, this is a bit fucking
This is not what we see from the outside.
No.
Let's be honest with you though. Have a look at the last 12 months. So we've had our owner basically be removed due to ties with his, Russian counterparts.
Yep.
We've then had to change ownerships to a guy who thought, here's a great idea. What if we get the world's best players to play against each other in a tournament?
Yep.
Which is often referred to as the World Cup. Yeah. And then on top of that, they've basically had to jump in and find a new owner, a new coach, the whole works. It's as I would like to refer it to, a fustercuck.
No, you can say clusterfuck here. We do all the time.
I know.
Very friendly. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, it's a shit show.
Yep.
It's a shit show that I'm glad I'm not a part of, or a fan
Thank
of
you.
at the moment, because we're going through our own thing at the moment, Liverpool, and I thought ours was bad, but
As far as I'm concerned,
Hey.
don't say
All
it.
I can say is this.
Don't say it. I've got you keep
I am very, very proud of you. I am very thankful. It makes me so happy.
I'm sure it does, but we don't say nothing yet because
when your clubs get to the level of clusterfuck that mine is and has been for the past 8 years, then come and talk to me. Because now we're looking at another fucking points deduction now as well.
Yeah, good.
just to join in with the ranks of everybody's getting
shanked.
Yeah, fisted.
Come join us then in League One, mate. We couldn't even fucking win in Devon, for fuck's sake. Anyway, we'll move on from that. We're going to wrap it up, though, guys. We've been rattling on for a freaking fair bit now. We do thank you guys for jumping on and giving up your time, listening to us ravel on. As I said, we are no professional podcast. We don't sort of run with structure. We are hoping to change that soon. We will be. Hopefully.
Oh, hang on. We are getting a lot of people asking about the red cards.
The red cards.
Yeah. I said it before, but you said no, not yet. So we're going to wrap it up. But we do thank you guys for jumping in, supporting us, supporting the show. I believe we're up to over 300 people who have liked the Facebook page. I'm not 100% sure what we're at with subscribers on YouTube and so forth. Nor that I really care, but feel free if you haven't yet, go subscribe over there. It's muchly appreciated. But yeah, big shout out to Gabriel Mar, optometrist at Jasmine. Be sure to go see those guys for all your eye care needs. Again, quick plug for those guys. And yeah, hope you're enjoying your football wherever you're watching it, and unless you're a Chelsea fan.
Unless before you go too much further, Noopy, I can answer that question for you. Never, because I can't go any longer than 3 hours without a cigarette.
And if you speak to his missus, it's even shorter.
Yeah.
Can't go that long without a cigarette.
When will we go for a 3-hour show, mate? We can go for a 3-hour show. I just don't understand. People would freaking just tune out and shit. They'd be like Benny, keeping his chair upright.
Yep. No.
We have,
use it.
We have
No.
Benny. We have Benny having issues trying to stay awake for a normal show, let alone 3 hours.
At least if I fall asleep in the first half an hour of that show, I'll be able to wake up fucking before it finishes. Instead of 2:30 in the morning. Instead of 2:30 in the morning, opening my eyes, looking at the Discord and going, "Oh fuck," and then looking at the time and going, "Oh fuck."
Oh fuck.
Before we go into the red cards, I'd just like to thank Benny for staying awake this episode.
Helps when I got lights and I got food now, so it's good. I had to stop and get dinner. It's been sitting there for fucking 40 odd minutes.
That's what it has. We'll let Robbie friggin' talk about the red cards. That was in the Adelaide, was it?
There was a few.
No. I'm actually. So there's been a lot of talk, obviously, this season in regards to the number of red cards, especially the number of cards versus matches compared to somewhere like the Premier League. So what I would highly recommend as a football fan, have a read of the law of the game. I know we hum on about it on a regular occurrence,
Yes.
but honestly, in order to be able to understand why the red cards are there, it is a crucial thing to do so.
Correct.
All right. We, as referees, need to make sure that we are protecting 22 players on that pitch every time that we go out. All right. It is not about us. We are there to look after the game, the spirit of the game, and make sure that it's played in a fair way. When you have players constantly lunging, all right, at each other with studs up, you are asking for a red card. Simple as that. I, as a referee, hear multiple times, but I won the ball. I can tell you now, if you were to kill a player because you've snapped a leg, done an artery, or something along those lines, that doesn't matter if you've won the ball. We are there to protect the player. We are there to do a job, and we are there to show the respect that is deserved. And all we ask for is the same. Okay? So when you have players at 13 minutes going in stupid from Brisbane Roar over the weekend and getting yellow carded, and then in the 84th, 85th minute
Yeah.
for a really silly tackle for obstruction, almost stopping of a promising attack, that's why you're getting red cards. There is a lack of discipline at the moment across this league that is getting stamped out. And unfortunately, what is happening at the moment is people are missing that. Let's stop focusing on the referees and them making the right call against the law of the game and start focusing on the poor discipline of the players.
Yeah.
All right. The moment as a coach and the moment as a player, you turn around and say, don't worry, we lost that game because of a referee, you are destroying your opportunity from learning from that game. You only get better by playing a smarter opponent. If you don't learn from that and you focus and you blame on everyone else, I'm sorry. That's where you are doomed to fail.
I've been guilty. I've been guilty before of using and I'm pretty sure we all have, of using and I'm going to call it for what it is, a cop-out of, well, I won the ball. Or we won the ball.
Massive.
It is. It's a cop-out.
I hear it on a regular occasion. I hear it on a regular occasion.
Yeah.
And I will say to them every day until I'm blue in the face, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you win the ball and then your secondary action is that you stud them in the nuts,
yeah.
What, does that mean, yeah, all right, you get that secondary shot because you won the ball? Absolutely not. You're getting sent for an early shower. So I would honestly look back, if anyone wants to, watch some of the red cards that have been called. All right. Chris Beef absolutely killed it this weekend with his game.
Yeah.
All right. I hear a lot of disrespect towards him. He is honestly one of Australia's best referees. And I will say that until the cows come home. Watching him, his positioning is always solid. His player management is fantastic. His professionalism is exceptional. I've had the pleasure of meeting him myself in the past. And yeah. So look, as I said, it is very easy to sit there and blame the referee. And unfortunately, it's happening a lot. But we are doing what we have been asked to and what we are required to do, which is we are there to protect the players in that game. Because I'm sorry as well, have a look at the ratio of the amount of players currently injured in our league. How many are soft tissue damages? How many are from injuries from tackles or from challenges? So what we should be looking at and focusing on more is the discipline of our players, the ability to tackle from our players. Because if they're relying on lunges, that's telling me that we're not working on the defense enough. So yeah, that's been my rant. And as far as I'm concerned, these are my own personal opinions. Okay, these are my own views.
Yes.
They have nothing to do with anywhere else I'm affiliated with.
Yes.
These are what I'm seeing as a fan of the game and what I'm really getting frustrated with.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. Biggest thing you'll get used to frigging around here, mate, is just making sure that it's my opinion.
Disclaimer.
Don't go off and think that fucking fucking Jesus Christ, that it goes to old mate and goes, oh, do you what fucking this bloke said? My fucking opinion.
No.
Anyway, guys, we are going to wrap it up there. Friggin', we do thank everyone for jumping on as always. It is muchly appreciated. Benny, Robbie, it will now be as always.
As always.
Robbie is joining the crew, which I think is going to be a good thing to have that sort of referee sort of freaking
A non-Jets unbiased opinion.
I was even non-Jets unbiased opinion. We all agree that fucking Melbourne Victory cheated fucking in 2018. So, the VAR friggin' system and shit like that. Surely a real referee would have fucking realised it was a mistake and overturned.
Come on, you hate them just as much as we do.
Good for an exit point.
He's gonna fucking sticky tape his mouth.
It will not be revealed. There we go. That's classic. That's fucking funny. What was I going to say? If you haven't seen Benny's stuff, corner flag games, be sure to go and see it. He does a bit of stuff with the regular crew on a Friday night, and then obviously FIFA as always, Sundays and so forth. Other than that, we're going to leave it there. I will leave you guys with another question, another quiz question that I've sort of started to do it over the last couple of weeks, which I'm going to try and run through. Benny will whack it on the Facebook for me at some point, but I'll give it to you. Have your thoughts. I'm sure these boys will get it straight away.
Sorry. Noopy Kiosk, just solid. Yeah, I'll play that one.
You'll learn, Noopy. He don't say a lot, but when he does, it's a fucking zinger every time.
It is.
Yeah.
So the final question is: in what country would you find the home of FC Santa Claus?
Hang on. In what?
South Pole?
Think about it.
Find the what?
In what country?
Yeah.
Would you find the home?
Oh.
Of FC.
Yeah.
Santa Claus. So Santa,
I know.
SANTA.
I know.
CLAUS.
Ooh.
Benny should know better FIFA
Yeah.
fan.
Yeah, I know.
Pretty straightforward. It's very.
So
it's
not
also,
North Pole.
Nah, it's not what you think.
Well, it is what you think. If you really think about it.
So you'd be looking at potentially the original story or the original fable of Santa Claus.
Very good.
Yes.
And if you know that, you'll work it out very easy.
Yeah, it's an easy one.
That's the question for this week. Feel free, whack your answers in the chat on the Facebook page. As I said, we're going to leave it there. We'll see you guys next week. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, to have an absolute legend join us here on the show. She's been with us before. She's a Novocastrian. She's a true legend. And
is it who I think it is?
We love what she does, and we're going to chill out and catch up with her and see what she's been up to over the last 12 months.
I know who it is.
In retirement, and see what she's got planned. See what she's got planned for the next year. I hear it's a big one. She's got a bit of radio stuff and a bit of commentary and all that shit going on with a little bit of her own sort of academy stuff.
Can't wait to have her back.
So so touch. Fingers crossed, we'll have her on next week, and until then, we'll see you guys next week. And I've waited friggin' nearly a week to say it, but hey, Lukey, are you there, mate? Where are you? Say hello, Lukey. Come on.
You might be actually in bed.
It's only time. Come on. No, he's friggin' put something up like that friggin' long ago. Come on, Lukey. Wave your hand.
Put your hand up. Put your hand up if you're not here.
Luke.
Come on, mate.
Where are you? I know we've got a 7-second delay, but come on.
Come on, mate. He's not going to do it, is he?
No.
I've been very kind all week. I haven't opened my mouth. Come on, I'll give you 7
You gave
seconds.
a thumb up just before.
Yeah, I know. I'll give you 7 seconds to give me another thumbs up.
And then we're going for it, buddy.
I joined the Discord.
Very good, mate.
So you did.
Nice.
I'll fix your rolls up in a second.
Very good, thank you. Rightio. Well, Lukey's friggin' taken the back door. He's friggin' jumped out of the friggin' cab. He's friggin' fucking running. He's been run over by a moving vehicle. Lukey, I'm going to give you as much shit as possible. It's fucking, and I love the banter and so forth. But Fernandez, what was he thinking? Better yet, what was the whole fucking team?
I was about to
thinking?
say, what was the entire team thinking?
Like, did you guys prepare for the game or what? Mate, 7-0. 7-0, mate. Come back to me. Come back to me when he's even beat us close. You might beat us 1-0 next week. You might beat us fucking 3-0 or whatever in 12 months' time or whatever. Knock us out of the Champions League, whatever.
Doesn't matter.
But nothing is going to matter until you beat us. The same scoreline or worse, mate. Have fun with that. Enjoy your week, Lukey.
I like that. Are you thirsty for
Have
a
fun,
7-Up,
mate.
Luke?
You enjoy that, mate. You have fun, all right? Don't bite the pillow too hard. I'm sure they'll come back strong. And as always, we hate United. But not as much as we hate the coast. Take it easy, guys.
Hang on. Hang on, mate.
Ooh.
What are you doing to me? What are you doing to me?
You should have been reading my mind.
What do you think I've been doing for the past, 2 minutes, Josh?
Even I knew what was coming.
I've been preeing it up. I just chose the wrong file. But guess what, Josh?
What?
We hate Coast Scum.
Oh, you can't fucking hear it.
Oh, no.
Nope.
Well, they did.
That ruined it.
There we go. We hate Coast Scum. Noopy's all over it. He's on top of it. Anyway, guys, we're going to leave it there. Wrap it up. Take it easy, guys. Enjoy your week, unless you're a Manchester United fan, which I'm sure, as I just said, you'll be biting the pillow for the next week. Chin up, guys. Chin up the United fans. And
It's always next week.
It's always. Said, always look on the bright side of life. We'll catch you next week. See you later.